guys. What's up?
Jack.
Hi. Oh, I'm so excited to be here, y'all. Taking off my jacket. Hey. What's up, y'all? I'm Jack. I'm super excited to be here. So, before I begin, my parents couldn't come tonight, but I wanted to sort of send out like a quick thank you to them. I was recently given like a big old box of family photos, and I was going through them and like, oh God, my parents were so loving. They were so considerate. They like documented frame by frame the destruction of their marriage. Just like, oh, so sweet. And so prescient too, like you need to have some forethought to do that. It's cool going through old family photos because you also see your relationships evolve, you know, you really see your life become like your life. Yeah, no, but like I see my relationship with like my dad evolve, like there's this really sweet picture, like I'm a baby, he's like holding me, and he's like an exhausted dad, and it's like adorable, and I'm a baby. And which is like mind-blowing on its own that I was a baby once, because I'm so tall and handsome now. It's just weird. And he's like holding me, and then like the next picture, like by the time I'm like 5, I'm like here, and there's like some distance between us now, he's like over here. And I'm like covered in like some unidentifiable like muck, just like, it might be guacamole, it might be and he's over here, and he's just like, there's something up with this one. I don't know what it is, but the other one's fine, but I think we're gonna check back in on this one. And then I'm like 10, and I'm like wearing a feather boa, no clothes, just naked. I'm like holding my cat like this. And he's like a little farther out of frame now, he's like over here. And he's like, oh, he's an asshole. He's a gay asshole. That's what it is. And then by the time I'm like 14, I'm like sitting here like this, and I'm like writing in my journal with like my shitty prepubescent mustache, which I have to this day. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, what do you need? And he's not like really in the picture anymore. He's like only half of him is, but it's just this half. Yeah. It's weird going through family photos, because like I think as humans, we're not that good at self-reflection, you know? And, like when you look in the mirror, you don't see what everyone else sees. Sorry, I should like figure out a better way to communicate this. Okay, so I was in the shower a few days ago, and I was shaving my balls. And I looked down at the shower floor, and I'm like, oh my God, when did a black squirrel die in my shower? And when did it get a perm? Oh, it's my pubes! That's fun for me. Yeah. I don't just talk about balls. I also talk about politics. Because I'm not only an edgy comedian, I'm a really smart comedian. But I am a big supporter of affirmative action. Not so much for the individual, but I think that society as a whole is best served when a diverse group of people are creating, and they're making art together, and they're governing together, and they're inventing together. And I think as a generation, it's hard for us to really appreciate affirmative action, because we're sort of post-affirmative action in terms of the timeline of history. I bet y'all don't even remember what it was like before the president signed that bill into law. I think it was like 1980, that said that there had to be more women in porn. And do you guys even remember what it was like before that? It was all dudes. Porn was all dudes, and it was horrible. Everyone hated it. And then this law passed. I think Barbara Boxer wrote it, which is cool because she's our senator. And now women are in porn, and they're treated with so much respect. And everyone loves it. I don't love it because I'm gay, but I'm a minority, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. God, so this was not originally part of my set, but I was at 7-Eleven before I came here because I wanted a Snickers. And I was like waiting because the guy in front of me was fucking buying lottery tickets. And this has happened to me a shit ton now, where the person in front of me is spending like 10 minutes buying lottery tickets, and I just want to be like, sweetie, you're not gonna win. It's just not gonna happen. That's why there's so much money in it, because no one fucking wins. But no, people are fucking idiots. It turns out, all the time, which is great for me as a comedian, because it makes my material really easy to access. And it's even better when you're in college as a comedian, because in college, people say stupid shit at the same level at which it happens in the real world, which is constantly. But in college, they raise their hand before they do it, which is awesome. I was in a class, and it's not even a gender class. It was a politics class, and we were talking about gay people getting slaughtered or something. And this girl raises her hand, and the PhD standing in front of the room calls on her, and she goes, "First off, I'd like to say that I'm not gay," which was a good clarification because we were all really worried for a second. First of all, I'm not gay, but I think that gay people were born that way. Do you you ask permission from a master of their field to quote a Lady Gaga song? Really? That's ridiculous. And also, born this way is fucking absurd. This idea that gay people or straight people were born gay or straight or whatever. I don't feel like I should have to tell you this. You're born a baby. You don't know where your dick is, let alone where you want to put it. It's crazy, and it's also just this weird way to get sympathy from straight people, I know he's a freak, but he was born that way. It's you have some horrible genetic disease. Okay, and I know this is a really serious disease, and I don't want you to think I'm making fun of people with this disease, because I'm not. I'm using it as an example. There's a little kid at the market with his mom. His name's Twiddly or something. And he sees a gentleman affected by this horrible disease, which is, of course, you're born with anuses instead of eyeballs. And Twiddly pulls on his mom's coat, and he's like, "Mom! That guy has anuses." And Twiddly's mom, because she listens to NPR and she knows her shit. She leans down and she's like, Twiddly, some people are born that way. And Twiddly's like, "Oh shit." And then the next week they're at the public park or whatever. I guess they're cruising for dick or something. And Twiddly sees two dudes kissing. And he's like, "Mom!" Twiddly's mom leans down, still listening to NPR. She's like, "Twiddly, you stupid son of a bitch. We just fucking talked about this. You're born that way." And then for the rest of his fucking life, Twiddly is the same thing that is me, is the guy with anuses for eyeballs. Which is true. Our generation, I can say that because we're all the same age group here. Our generation has this obsession with chill, the concept of being chill. And we're so obsessed with it that we actually use it to describe people. You'll be talking to someone and they'll be like, "Oh man, do you know Sean?" And you're like, "No, I don't know Sean." And they're he's tall, super chill. You're like, "Oh right, Sean, the chill one." And it's more than that though. It's something that we're all supposed to aspire to. It is the greatest pillar of human success. Which is insane to me. That's insane to me because no great human of history was chill. Gandhi, for example. mellow guy generally, starved himself for 106 days. His friends were like, hey Gandhi, do you want to go to Chipotle? And he's like, no, I'm fasting. I can't. Like, that's the opposite of chill. Yeah. So, segues. So, me and my ex broke up like a year ago, which is sad, but I know this is bad, but we're still sleeping together. And on one hand, I'm like really ready to move on. You know, like I feel good about myself, I'm confident, I'm like excited to meet new people. But on the other hand, like I still really, really love getting blowjobs. And the cool thing about having sex with someone who you dated for a while and then broken up with is like all veils are drawn. Like they've seen you shit, but you don't have to buy them dinner. It's the best possible combo. No, that's not true. I'm not dating. We're having sex. I am single. I'm not self-aware enough to not know why I'm single, though. I'm not one of those people who sits around all day and is like, why am I alone? I know why I'm alone. It's because I'm terrified of commitment and incredibly shallow. Like, it's pretty fucking clear. I did have sex with a hot person once. I don't think I'm ever gonna do it again, though. First of all, it took me a while for it to actually happen. I was at a bar and I was like sitting here and there was an empty stool next to me. And this dude comes up and he starts, I think he was talking to the stool. He starts talking to the stool and he's like, hey, I'm David. And the stool didn't say anything. He's like looking at the stool. And the stool didn't say anything. He's like, hey, I'm David, it's nice to meet you. And the stool was just silent. Which I think is really rude, but like I'm also not from a stool community, so like I don't know what cultural things are playing into that. So eventually I started talking to David, and I went home with him, and he was showing me his house. And the thing about having sex with hot people is you so can't believe that it's happening, that when this guy was like showing me his patio, like before he fucked me, and he was like, oh, this is the patio. I was like, this is a nice patio. Maybe he just wanted to show me his patio. But no, we did have sex eventually. It wasn't that good, I'm gonna be real. And there's this thing that people say, they're like, it doesn't matter how hot someone is if they're bad in bed, and that's bullshit. Because after you have sex with them, you still look at their face. And it doesn't really matter. You're still super hot. And the fact that like you asked me to go home with you still makes me feel amazing. So that's great. But yeah, I'm gay if you didn't catch that. I'm gay. People like to remind me of that, like in case I forgot. I'll be walking down the street. I guess I have like a little swish in my step. And like some like bros in a 1998 BMW 3 Series, which is like the bro equivalent of a clown car. Like one pulls up and like 40 pull out. But they'll pull up and like one of them will lean out the window and they'll go, faggot. And I know a lot of people are really offended by that. But honestly, it makes me sort of like proud. Like hear me out. So like you know when you're teaching a little kid shapes. And they point out a square, and they're like, that's a square! It's a square. And I'm like, yes! You're learning! It is a square. When bros pull up to me and they're like, faggot, I'm like, yes! It is a faggot. You're learning, you're growing. Bros grow up so fast. You know, one minute they're just like a little boy pissing in the sandbox. The next minute, you know, they're sexually assaulting someone for the first time at their frat party. Just like that. Thank you. It's weird though. I got shit for being gay a lot when I was a kid. You know, like when you tell your second grade class that you want to be a women's shoe designer. Some eyebrows are raised. It sticks with you for a while. And you know, I got called back a lot, but I got beat up a couple times. And the weirdest thing happens when I talk to my straight male friends about this. They're like, oh man, I totally understand. I got called faggot in middle school. So first thing, when are we, like as a group, as a society, going to accept the fact that middle school is not so much an educational institution as it is a forum in which we all call each other faggots? That's not that impressive. Second thing, like, wow, these guys, their power of empathy, it's mind-blowing. And I get it too, because like in the same way that getting called a faggot makes you understand what it's like to be a gay male, it's the same thing that like because I get a little tan in the summer, I know what it's like to be Latino. Oh. And I do. It's amazing. Yeah, I love straight guys. I don't really believe in straight, you know what I mean? Like I think it's just a phase. But I do love straight guys. Straight guys, they're so sweet, they're so cute, and like all of my straight male friends are like on a constant effort to like be not the worst. They're always trying to not be like total assholes all the time. And like they've started hugging each other, which is great, because before like they couldn't do that, but they do this weird thing when they hug each other, which is they can't hug each other without patting each other on the back while they do it. And I have two theories. The first is that they're genuinely really happy for each other, and they're like, good job, dude. We're hugging. Ain't gay, though. Ain't gay. Second theory is that they are really concerned that the other person actually thinks they're having sex, which makes me question how much straight men actually know about sex. But it's like they're hugging and they're like, not boner. Just a hug. You can tell because I would never pat someone on the back during sex. Which is also weird because like spanking is fun. Yeah. So yeah, want to hear another story about blowjobs? Yeah. Cool, thank you. So I was at the same bar where a hot guy picked me up, which once again never really happens. But I was at this bar, and I've actually talked to a lot of my gay male friends, and I think this happens to a lot of them. But I was at this bar, and I was sitting there, and like sort of an old guy came up, and he was like sort of sweaty and gross. He was probably like 70. And he was like pretty clearly drunk, but he was being really nice. He was like, hey, I like your sweater. And I was like, thank you. That's super nice of you. And then, without missing a beat, is, I'll suck your dick. Which is so jarring because, like, as a dude, your instinct is to be like, yeah, you will suck my dick. But they're so gross and old that you sort of have to do this thing of like, yeah, no, yeah, and you just have to leave. It's a bummer. Yeah. I mean, like, despite that story I told you about, like, me getting beat up and stuff, my childhood was actually really nice. I grew up pretty well off. My dad's pretty successful. But he was really intent on my brother and I having a really strong work ethic. You know, I guess that's why I'm doing stand-up comedy. But no, but you know, like, we always worked. We paid for our own cars. He takes that very seriously. He takes it so seriously, actually, that my brother and I aren't inheriting any of my dad's money. In his will, it says that none of it is going to his kids, it's all going to charity. Which at first I was like sort of pissed about because I was like, you were an asshole to me for 21 years and I don't get shit. That's not good. But no. Once he told me though, like what the charity was, I totally got it. It's this really amazing charity. They're based in LA. They work with underprivileged kids from the inner city to give them a sense of never being good enough. Oh. I know how passionate my dad is about making children feel like they're never good enough. It's just like a really nice way to remember. Thank you so much, guys.